I'm with a guy who really understands where the business is going. Versatility is what he is all about. He is a producer, he's a floor manager, he's also a broadcaster. He is Romaine Hanskens, and he joins me on the Honest Something podcast. I'm Bryan Fenley. This is a sports media podcast where we not only look at the professional sides of those who work in the business, but also the personal sides as well. Roman, thanks for being a part of this. Excited to dive into your life and learn more about you.
Hi, Brian. Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
I feel like when I get to look at what you do from all of your social media posts, that I'm looking at a guy who absolutely loves what he gets to do. What am I getting at there?
You're right. I'm a very lucky guy. I never work. I'm only having fun because I do my passion since I was a kid. I wanted to work in TV and either this or be a basketball player. So obviously, I was not good enough to be a basketball player. So I managed to climb the ladder in the sports TV world. And here I am having fun on basketball and volleyball events mostly.
Even though you didn't turn pro basketball wise, you still obviously are part of a lot of basketball broadcasts, and you're still playing a
I
lot of
still play.
broadcasts. What's it like going on the court with you playing basketball?
Well, a lot of trash talking, obviously. And just shoot some hoops, that's it. And I like to show the guys, the pros, that in a way I'm one of them. I know what I'm talking about. I respect them for what they do. And so they also respect me because they know I'm a baller as well. So it makes all the connections, the contacts, much easier, I would say.
How would you say you talked a little bit about this, how ever since you were young, you wanted to either be a pro basketball player or work in the sports of broadcasting and such. What was your upbringing like to sort of facilitate those dreams for you?
First of all, my family, my parents, they're not into TV at all. They're in the healthcare sector. My mom is a nurse. Um, so I don't know. We had this guy in France called George Eddy. He's an American guy, but he was commentating the NBA. Still does, by the way. He's a true legend, and he had an American accent, but commentating in French. And so every night we would woke up to watch the NBA, the playoffs, because at the time we only had playoffs. And this guy was a legend, and I wanted to be like him. I was like, this guy is cool. He's got all those funny expressions, alliterations, and everything. I was like, I want to do the same. So I just, with my best friend, we were sending. At the time, it was a mini discs. I would record
Yes.
the game. I would record the game on VHS and recommendate the game on mini disc and send it to various TV networks and say, "Hey, hire me." And one day I was given a shot, and that's it.
What was it like to get that shot and to hear that somebody was going to take a chance on you?
Well, I was ecstatic because I had to take the train and go to Paris. For me, it was something big to go to Canal Plus. And over there, I received the most valuable commentary lesson I ever received. So I was prepped. I knew all the players, all the stats. They told me, "Oh, you're gonna commentate on the game from 3 days ago." I was ready. It was a San Antonio Spurs game. I was fully ready. I knew everything. And then I sat down in the booth for the first time. I was a little bit excited but nervous, and they didn't play me a single second of game. They only played the intro, the halftime, and that's it. And this is where I learned I was not ready. Because it's easy to commentate when the game is on, but how do you interest the viewers when nothing's going on?
Fascinating.
And for that, I was not ready. And it's by far the best TV lessons I ever learned in my life. The first one. And I'll be always thankful to this guy called David Cosette, who still now commentates on basketball. He commentates the French national team. great guy, true professional, and he gave me my best broadcast lesson ever. Be prepped.
Yeah, so I was going to say, how has that impacted the way you have your outlook on the business since that moment?
Well, the best improvisation is always the one that is the most prepared. So now, when I also teach wannabe commentators, I always tell them, listen, your first minute, your first 2 minutes, write it down because you cannot mumble, you cannot hesitate, because otherwise your boss and the viewers they flick away. So always be prepared and have stuff to talk about when there's nothing to talk about. When there's a timeout, well, who knows, when it's halftime, you have 2 minutes before going to break. Sometimes the stats don't come because either you remote or the stats they don't bring you the stat sheet or something. You need to talk about something. Pre-game as well, you have the stories of the game, the interesting matchups, the X factor that you see yourselves. Because sometimes you just get a world feed, so you don't have graphics at all. So you have to come up with a story and make it interesting. This is what I learned.
Helping make it interesting is that when you get to talk to the players, talk to the basketball players, and really get to
Yeah.
hear from their perspectives and how that can help you prepare for these broadcasts. When you're sitting and talking to them, what kind of questions are you asking? What sort of information are you looking from them to hear yourself so that you could use in a broadcast?
Now I have also the chance to be the live game producer for EuroLeague games. So I'm not always behind the microphone. I sit in a hobby truck,
Sure.
and I with the director, which is local. So sometimes you have a language barrier to overcome. But I can tell, listen, I want a close up of this guy or a split screen. I want to play those two stats. Because to me they tell a little bit the story of the game, the matchup. So when I talk to the players, usually I go and talk to them and ask, hey, who are you gonna D on, or who's gonna defend on you? That's to me that's very interesting because you can have a height difference, size difference, speed difference. One team play small ball, one team play big, so you need to adapt. Um, that's always something I'm looking for. When I want to highlight a player, I like to know who he will play against on the court. Of course, if there's a zone, I have a
Yeah.
problem. But um, that's that's mostly what I do. I always also talk to the ref because I'm allowed to talk to the ref, and usually they have some let's say there's something they want to emphasize on, something they look for more. I don't know, checking, whatever. So they say today we're gonna pay big attention to this, so I make sure I cover that up as well.
When you're watching the way that European basketball is produced and being a part of this, and then you are assuming over the course of your life, a lot of NBA basketball and those type of broadcasts. Where do you feel like the NBA doesn't quite hit the mark in what Europe does? And where do you feel like Europe can learn from the NBA and how the broadcasting that they're doing is going?
I think the NBA is much better at selling their product than the European leagues are. They know how to market it. When you see the highlights are slick, smooth. Okay, they spend a lot of time to edit highlights. And let's say you're French, just want to see the basket of, let's say, Victor Wembanyama. You go on the NBA app and you only see his baskets or his actions. In Europe, it's you don't have this possibility to tailor what you really want to watch. Okay, you watch the game live, it's live, but and also the way we do highlights sometimes really it's with an axe and a hammer. You know, you got the sentence of the commentator is cut in the middle. You know, so this I learned with ESPN is to You can play with the audio, bring it from the action from before, so you have a full sentence. Okay, it can be 6, 7 seconds longer. It doesn't have to be 1 minute. It can be 1 minute 07. It doesn't matter. Um, but in terms of play, it's true that NBA basketball is more one-on-one. Whoever grabs the rebound will take the shot. It's a caricature, but it's a little bit like this. While in European basketball, you have more long systems with several passes. You have pick and roll, of course, like it's the basics, but you have more, let's say, thought through systems, and the role of the coach is much more prominent, I think, that in the NBA.
I do notice that the coach, and correct me if I'm wrong, Roman, but the coach in the NBA seems to be sort of like more like a team manager and just like
Yeah.
making sure that the players already kind of know what they want to do and they're sort of running things in a way. And the coach is just trying to make sure that everybody is getting along. But then if you were to go inside the huddles of a European coach, what is that like? I mean, the plays and just the way they're talking to the players. I feel like there's a difference there.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. The NBA coach is more a manager, an ego manager,
Yes.
uh, or a time on the court manager, while European coaches, so you have some calm dudes, you have some crazy dudes, especially, for example, the Serbians, they're completely cuckoo. You have to be able to take a hit to play for them because they're not nice. They want to win more than you. And usually the timeouts are in, I would say, four phases. When they call the timeout, they have a quick chat with their assistants before going to the players. The players have a drink. Then they go and have a little pep talk, motivational talk, and then they draw the next offense and the next defense, or vice versa. But they always draw one or two plays for the point guard to try to execute. Yeah.
What is the difference between the personality of the crowd at one of those games and what you witness, say, from the personality of a crowd at an NBA game?
NBA game is really entertainment. You go there with your kid. Um, you grab some food, you grab a beer, and you enjoy your show. I would say in Europe, in many arenas, beers are forbidden because you're here to you're here to win, and it's really passionate, and you don't want people to be, let's say, under the influence. But if you take the best crowds to me, they are in Serbia, in Turkey, and in Greece, which are three territories which I often go and I love going, and it's deafening. If you bring your kid, they must have noise canceling headsets. They crack flares. They throw things at you. It should not happen, but unfortunately, sometimes it does, especially when you have a derby or two rivals playing. It could be dangerous for the players and for the refs.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, what's the players' reaction to this? Because I would think part of them is like, yay, I love all the excitement and the pride that the fans and the attention that they're giving us and the energy. But to what point do they feel like it's going overboard? And then how do they react to that?
It never goes too much because the fans will never come on the pitch except if you win on the court, except if you win the title. They will stay in their seat, but they will boo you like never before. They will say things to your mom, sisters, whatever. But I must say, the Americans, because now we have more and more Americans coming in Europe, the first time they go to Athens, Belgrade, or Istanbul, it's a wow factor. I've never seen this, and they love it. And some people, they go play for one club because of the fans. Because some clubs, you're gonna win the domestic title, but you're never gonna win a international European title because the team is not good enough. but you have this sense of family. The whole town is behind you, and they play and they never leave, and they play for this team for 5, 7, 10 years. Yeah.
What's led to countries like Serbia and Turkey to become such basketball powerhouses?
I would say over there, like everywhere in Europe, the sports number one is football/soccer. Um, but let's say maybe you cannot really identify to the players because they earn too much money. They're not really accessible. You come to a basketball game, at the end of the game, you wait by the parking lot. You can have your jersey signed. You can talk to the player, take a picture. This is absolutely okay. And also I think because you're inside. When in Serbia it's minus 25 in December, you don't want to be in a football stadium really. You'd rather be inside. So I think it's a combination of things, and because you're inside, also the noise is something because you have the echo, the reverberation. In those countries, I'd say you shouldn't do it, but if you want to come smoke your cigarette during the game, it's possible.
They don't say so. So they'll let you do that if you, how do you get away with something like that? You just,
Ah,
I mean,
you have to be a bit discreet, but yeah, it happens in most arenas. You know.
what is it like the grassroots level? So like if you're in countries that and you're working on games from all around Europe, when when you see the pros, you see the pros. But then what is it like in those countries if you're just going to a park and you see a hoop and are people playing? What does that look like? How competitive are the pickup games? Like the stuff like in the backyard and what we see here in the United States. What does that look like from that perspective in Europe during in the countries that really are big in basketball?
So, for example, when I used to live in London, working for ESPN, every day I will go play 3-on-3 on the playground, and over there I would meet every nationalities. Of course, you have all the ex-Yugoslavian countries. You have so they really know how to play. Okay, maybe some guys they're 55 years old, but they kick your ass 100%. And you have also the Philippine community. They are more all about crossovers,
Yes.
flashy stuff, but they lose the game. So, so it's you have English and you have Europeans, you have the Spaniards, the Italian, the French, whatever, and everybody's become friends in the end. You come once, twice, then you go have a after you play 6, 7 hours in the sun. Then at night you go have dinner, grab a beer, and you meet people. You make friends for life. That's how it works.
That's the difference. It's interesting because you're talking about how the the fans in Europe can be rowdier and more energetic than the fans of the United States. They're looking at it from just an entertainment perspective, and they'll get loud and stuff, but it's just at a different level in Europe. But in Europe, the players will on different teams will interact with each other more than I think that than say the NBA guys would after a game. Why do you think that is? I mean, I'm generalizing here, and maybe it's not always the case, Roman, but I would feel from my perspective, and you would know better than me, that players in Europe from different teams are more likely to sort of mingle with one another after games, even though their fan bases are maybe more heated than the NBA, than in the NBA where players are dealing with lukewarm energy fan bases, but the players are probably not meeting with each other afterwards.
I would say the main difference is in the competition that I work on, all the players play for national teams. So they are friends. And the only way in the season they can see each other is when one is traveling to the other guy's city. So let's say they go the day before the game, they go have dinner together, they go to someone's place, or they help each other when there is a problem, you know. Uh, so recently, I know it was a Panathinaikos Athens travel to Istanbul, and the two French players they met, So because they are friends, they won title with national teams together. So they went have dinner, and then the wife, they know each other, their wives, so the kids know each other. So you travel, okay, you need to win on the court, but outside you're still friends because you're the same nationality, you know. So probably you have the same agent as well.
Oh,
So
well, there you go. That makes total sense. So it
yeah,
further reinforces just how close these guys are. I saw
yeah,
cool this line that you wrote on X where you said basketball always took, in your words, basketball always took me to the moon.
yes,
What does that mean to you?
because I've been lucky to travel all over the world for basketball. And not only so, I'm doing things I love. I travel for free and I get paid for it. When I see my friends, they're hardcore basketball fans, they save for 10 months to go to a basketball event. So Eurobasket, World Cup, Olympic Games, whatever. And me, I'm lucky enough. It's my job. So I have accreditation. Usually I have full access, AAA as we call it, as you know. So I can talk to whoever I want. I'm lucky enough to be able to witness most practices because there's something I like to do is to know the special systems. When there's only 2, 3 seconds left on the shot clock and you have to score. So I pay a lot of attention to this. And with my director, I would say, oh, this guy will take the shot. Okay. So we have the camera one wide angle, and then I try to give a close up to the guy I think will take the shot. Sometimes I get it wrong, sometimes I get it right. And then it tells the story for the viewer. He has to take a three. So to go to OT or to win the game. So you put the close up of this player, you put his game or season 3 point average stat, and there you go. And you see what happens. If you're lucky, you're lucky. If not, too bad. But at least you try to tell the story.
Even though we only have a few seconds left on the shot clock of this interview, what you just said reinforces what you began the conversation talking about and how important it is to be prepared and how what you learn in those practices and what you observe and how you're ingesting all of the information can pay off immensely, right? To the broadcast and the quality that the fan gets to see.
Yeah, but also I love it. So let's say my game starts. The tip off is at 9 p.m. I arrive at the arena at 12 or 11 because I want to see the both teams practices. Because then I learn a lot of stuff, and I have the chance after the practice to talk to the players, talk to the coach. Sometimes the agents as they are there as well, so you can get some info that you're not supposed to say, but at least you know for yourself.
I got a lot of info from you, and I learned a lot from you in this conversation. Roman Enskin, such a pleasure. Roman is a
Pleasure
broadcaster,
was mine.
producer, floor manager. Love the insights in how the style of European basketball and the broadcast product looks like in comparison to the NBA. Thanks so much for doing this.
No problem. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.